This recording is protected by copyright. No part may be reproduced without the prior permission of the University of South Australia.
Bruce next week. Right, have a good Easter. Enjoy yourselves. See you, mate. Have a good Easter. See you guys.
See ya. Good Easter.
You too, guys. See you, mate. Happy Easter, guys. Enjoy yourselves. Eat lots of chocolate for me. If you don't, I'll be disappointed. Oh, tired. Just sleeping this point. Yeah. Yeah, dude. Oh, that's difficult.
Yes, please. We'll start in a minute. Well, I was expecting heaps more, but that's okay. Now, before we begin, I would like to know from all of you, what was going on in your mind when you came here? How this workshop is going to help you? You must have thought something, right, when you came here for the workshop? So what was going on in your mind? How am I going to be helping you? Anyone? Yeah? Almost, so you thought probably I'll be going through your answers?
No, just to make sure I've got the...
Okay, so you wanted to know whether you're on the right track or not. That's a very good approach. Anyone else? Why are you here? What brought you here? What do you think? Anyone from this side? Why are you? And please, can I kindly request everyone to put their phones down? Please switch off your phones and put them in your bags. I don't want to see anyone on their phones because this is out of my session. This is an extra work that I'm doing just to help you all so that you all can excel in your assignment. Now, when you all came in, I gave you a piece of paper, right? So what we are doing in today's workshop is, you will be writing the answers for some previous assignment, and that will give you an idea how to approach this assignment. You all know the answers. It's pretty straightforward, but what matters to me here is how you are presenting your work, whether there is any flow in your answers or not. What had happened was, as I was going through not the assignments, but especially when I was going through your exam writing, I noticed students know their concepts, but they don't know where to put what. As I was telling in one of my tutorials, like if you have to tell a story, and if you're starting with a Harry Potter story, and you are saying that Voldemort was killed by Harry, so what's the big deal about it? So what we need is, we need to know who are the characters of your story, what is the plot, and then finally what is the ending. This is exactly how you will be writing all your assignments throughout your uni days. So it's not only economics. Let it be any assignment that you will be ever answering. Please follow the format which I'll be discussing with you all. So before we begin, let's go through some of the checkpoints. Okay, so some important information. I hope everyone is aware when the assignment is due. It's due on 8th of April, 11 p.m. Is that clear, everyone? So firstly, many people ask me word limit. It's 1,000 words. All this information is given in your assignment. Now, before I proceed, how many of you have actually read each and every word in that assignment booklet? Each and every word which is written in there. Those who have read each and every word what has been written in there, let me assure you, you guys have already passed this assignment. Because you know exactly what needs to be done in that. And that's exactly what I'm repeating here today. Because I go through the login activity and I know who all have looked at their assignment, and almost 80% students have still not looked at what they are meant to be answering next week. So that's the reason I felt that it's important I conduct this workshop. So the very first questions that student ask me is word limit. 1,000 words. That excludes your graph. That excludes your reference list. Is that clear, everyone? So these 1,000 words do not include your graphs as well as your reference list. It's very important. There are three. It's in a question answer format. You need to present your answers in question answer format. So you need to provide answer for each question separately. Please don't mix them together. I want you to give them numbers 1, 2, 3. This is how you will be writing your answers. And don't write questions, please, because if you repeat questions, what happens? It comes in your word count. So if you think that you're already going way above the word count, beware, don't write the questions. I know questions very well. So you just give me the answers. Very important. Make sure to fully label your diagrams and clearly indicate changes you make to the graph. So if you are showing in your graph that supply is shifting to the right, show that. Show it through the arrows. Show S has been shifted to S1. It's very important. Unless and until you show that change clearly in your graph, you're not labeled it clearly, I won't be able to justify my marks, that how much marks I have given you. I've been telling this earlier also. Every graph tells a story. Every graph tells a story. But if your characters are missing, if you're not giving them a right name, we don't know what story you're talking about, right? So it's very important that you label your graphs correctly and you show the moves correctly. So if your demand is changing, show how your demand, where your demand is changing. How can you show that? Through arrows and by labeling it correctly. Now, this is one of the most frequently asked questions from the students. How do I get the numbers? Have you ever seen my lectures? I don't know how many of you attend my lectures. Have you ever seen me writing any numbers on my graph? No, you are using your theoretical, conceptual framework to draw your graphs. You don't have to put any numbers there. I want to understand your theory. What you're trying to explain me using your theory, and that's exactly I want there. So no need to provide any numbers. Regarding graphs, how many of you are comfortable drawing the graphs using PowerPoint slides? Using PowerPoint? Word? Few hands are up. Excel? Don't. My sincere suggestion, don't use Excel to draw your graphs. The best way to draw your graphs is draw them by hand. You all have phones now, right? So draw your graph, take a picture and post it and attach it to your assignment. But please don't draw the graphs using Excel. It really messes up with all the workings that you're trying to show me. And then I keep on chasing a student, can you please explain what are you trying to do here? Don't use Excel. I'm telling you now, if you are using Excel and if I don't understand what you're trying to show me there, I won't be able to help you. Okay? Please don't use Excel. Hand draw them, scan them, no problems. Use PowerPoint, use Word, no issues at all. You know, one of the best and the easiest way I can give you all here? Use my lecture slides. All the graphs are up there on the lecture slides. Use them. And the best part with those graphs are, you can easily change them. So you can change the heading. So just copy and paste them, but make sure you cite them. Because I'll know it straight away that this graph is being picked up from my lecture slide. So I need that citation, that referencing should be there. There is no issues. I won't take away any marks. So you can pick it up from my lecture slides, make whatever changes you want according to your answer, and supply, put it up there, okay? So this is how you need to handle your graphs. Next, this is another very common thing what I get students ask me. Do all the questions need graph? Yes. Please draw a graph for each and every question. Any question which is being answered without a graph, you are straight away losing 50% marks. I'm very, very clear about it. Is that clear? Please draw a graph for each and every. You have 3 questions. I need minimum 3 graphs in your assignment. Any question without a graph, 50% marks gone straight away. Okay? References. I have got maybe 40 emails already. What is the minimum number of reference? There is no minimum number of reference. You have to cite your textbook, because without your textbook, how will you know the theory, right? So you have to cite your textbook. Very important. If you are using my lecture notes, cite my lecture notes. You are using the article, cite your article. That's all you need. And above that, if you are citing anything else from Investopedia, from Wikipedia, or from ECON Wiki, no problems. Cite that. But don't give me a long list of citations which you have not even looked at. Because, I'll be very honest, the minute I go through the reference list, it's a very strict instructions given to all the tutors. that you have to go through the reference list. And they all are smart enough. The minute they go through your reference list, they know it straight away whether you have used this particular reference or not. Okay? So if you are just giving me one reference, it won't matter to me at all, provided you have used it. But don't give me any false referencing. Please make sure about that. There is no false referencing given. So one reference or 15 references, your marks won't change. Is that clear, everyone? So please make sure that you are giving the correct reference list. There should be an introduction and conclusion to your answer. In a minute, I'll show you what should be the format of writing your answers. But you must have an introduction and conclusion which forms the part of your total assignment. Lastly is extension. After 5 p.m. on 6th April, I'm done. My computer is shut down. After that, no one will ask me for extension. And if you're asking me for extension, that means there is just 2 days left. You must have written something, right? If only 2 days are left for your assignment, some draft you would have written. So you have to send me something if you're asking me for an extension. Just writing 1 page and showing me that, okay, this is all I have done, I will not approve your extension. Let it be any reason. Let me be very, very clear. Let it be any reason. I will not approve your extension and you will lose 10% marks per day. So I will not approve extension. I will approve it only if you have sent me a draft along with it. So that's a clear indication that yes, you have worked on it and now you have some problem and because of that you can't complete it. That's acceptable. But if you are not sending me a draft and you're just directly sending me an email that I have so and so issue and I need an extension, I'm sorry, it won't be approved. Is that clear, everyone? Now all this information is given on your assignment also. If you look at it, the last page is with all this information. So now let's look at the format of your assignment. How your assignment should look like. It should have an introduction, small paragraph, not more than 4 to 5 lines. Don't need much. Just 4 to 5 lines of introduction. That should be the beginning. Now you write your question number 1, question number 2, and question number 3. So you have a mini introduction, you have all the 3 questions, and then you have your conclusion, and in the last you will have your reference list. Now some of you might put an appendix in the end wherein you want to put your graphs. That's absolutely okay with me. But however, my sincere suggestion to everyone sitting here and even those who are listening to me online, my sincere suggestion, try and put the graph along with the question. Because what happens when the marker is reading your explanation and graph is in the front, we can easily relate to what you're trying to say here. So it's always better to put the graph along with the question. But however, if you think that you want to put it in the appendix, that's totally acceptable. You will not lose any marks for that. Is that clear, everyone? So this is the format of your assignment. Any questions from anyone here? Anyone? Yep.
On the introduction, what exactly are you looking for?
Later. That's a later part of my presentation today. So I'll be discussing that, but it's a good question. Anyone else? Anything else? Anyone? Yeah.
If we use your graphs, do we have to reference them?
Yeah. You need to provide a citation that where you have picked them from.
From the PowerPoint.
From the PowerPoint slides, yeah. So it's important that you cite them. Yeah. Anyone? Yeah.
Already started on this one. Graphs, I was using Google Images.
Okay.
Okay. I'll cite it on that.
You are using Google Images, but what kind of scaling they have used?
I didn't use, the ones I used didn't have scale.
And did they use properly price, quantity and all that?
Yeah, properly labeled.
Properly, but then you're using the butter market, right? Even if you have used that image, that's all right, but make sure you explain it clearly, right? That's a very important point, and I'll be drawing the graphs also. So see if your graph matches with that. Okay? So that would give you a lot of idea. Anyone? So we have the format of our assignment. Let's see what is the framework for each answer. This is a very important part. This is again there in your assignment. This is page number 2 or 3, 2 I think. So what should be the framework of your assignment? How you should write your answer. Each answer has got a bit of a different framework, but this is the framework we'll be using for your first question. So the framework is identify the key issue in the questions provided. So the first thing you need to do is identify what is being asked. So what is happening here is you are holding the hand of your marker and you're taking them around. It's like, somebody has come from outside and you have to show them Adelaide. How will you show them Adelaide? So, okay, to your right, this is Rundle Mall, and to your left, this is a state library. So when you go ahead on the North Terrace, as you proceed ahead, what happens? You see a railway station which also has a casino, and then we have our Uni-SA. So what is happening? You're taking them through, right? This is how you need to take through your marker. You're telling your marker that what you are doing in each answer, and that is what is identifying the problem. So first thing is you need to identify what is the key issue which is being asked in this question. Let me tell you one thing. In all the questions, the key issue is prices are going up. That is your key issue. So you have identified what is the key problem in your question. Now you will analyze. You will analyze these key issues in the news article. Look here. Within the context of the concepts discussed in the lectures and textbook. What does this tell you? What have I written up there? What am I trying to ask you here? What am I trying to ask you? What am I trying to ask you here? Anyone? The gentleman sitting right in the end. What am I trying to ask you up there? Are you on your phone? Okay. What do you think? What am I asking you up there? This line when I say context of the concepts discussed in the lectures and textbook. What am I asking you here to do? Anyone? Yes?
Use the economic principles that we've learned from the textbook and in our lectures.
Absolutely right. So what I'm trying to ask you here is, please use your textbook. That is the most important resource for this assignment. If you are using your textbook, you know exactly what to do. So please use the concepts what have been taught in the lectures as well as use your textbook. Don't go overboard, let me tell you. Sometimes over information is also unfortunately leads to going down. So too much information is also not good for the health. So that's why stick to your lecture notes, stick to your textbook, very important. Next one, use appropriate economic model to illustrate the key issues graphically. Fully label the model and clearly indicate where changes occur. I've highlighted the word appropriate. What do I mean by that? What do I mean by the word appropriate? The gentleman sitting in the front here. Yep. What do I mean by the word appropriate? The relevant model. If I'm asking you to show me a demand and supply model, I need demand and supply model. Last year, one girl, she wrote a beautiful answer on cost of production, which I just started this week, and I'll be concluding it in next week. She wrote a beautiful answer on the cost of production using demand and supply graph. I failed to understand where the hell that came from. So it's very important you use the right model. I've asked you, please use demand and supply model. Use demand and supply model. If I'm asking you incidence of tax, use the model which is applicable for incidence of tax. If I've asked you elasticity, use the model applicable for elasticity. So it's very important that you use the right appropriate model. And again, I'm repeating it here. Fully label the model and clearly indicate where changes occur. So you identify, analyze, and now you have drawn the graph. What would be your next step? What would be your next step? You have done this. Now what will you do? Yep. What would be the next step after this? What do you think? What will you do now? What would be the next step? What would you do?
I think I would explain what's happening.
Absolutely. The next thing is you will explain and discuss your outcome. Very important. That what is your model telling you? You need to explain the working of your model. It's very important. You explain what is this model telling you and what is the outcome. Please make a note, everyone. When I say the word outcome, what I mean is its effect on price and quantity. That's what I mean. When I say the word outcome, it means what effect does these changes have on price and quantity, assuming all other factors remaining constant. Is that clear, everyone? So now you have explained the model, and in the last, that's right in the end, not after the question, you will provide the list of references that you have used in answering the questions. Now let me give you one hint here. As you have written your answer, you have a reference. Go right at the bottom and straight away start writing your references, because what happens, sometimes you forget. And then that's not a very good thing, and that's where the plagiarism starts coming in, right? And we can't afford to be plagiarized. We can't afford that stamp on us that we were caught plagiarizing once in our uni days. We can't afford that, right? So as you are using the reference, start listing it down in that reference list. That's the reason I've put it up there. Okay? So now this is the framework of our each answer. Any questions related with the framework? Anyone? How many of you have written a bit of a draft on your assignment? Are you following this framework? Try and follow this. This is the right approach. Not only in this assignment, any assignment you do ever, this is the right way to present your answers. Now, I have given you a paper to everyone sitting here. Anyone without the paper? Can you please come and collect it? Anyone who does not have this paper, please come and collect it from me here. It's here. Now, those who are listening to me online, this Australia is suffering from a potato shortage. There is a link in here. If you click on this link, you will get the news article. Further, I have also posted this article on your course website. So it's there on your course website also. I've created a tab today. It's called Assignment Workshop. So I've created that tab. So inside that tab, you will have this workshop slides as well as this news article. So this will be there. Plus, I will also post this recording on that Assignment Workshop tab. Okay, everyone? So now what I want you all to do is carefully read that article. Spend 5-7 minutes in reading that article. This is one of the past assignments. Please read that article. I think I'll put my recording on the pause, otherwise those who are listening, they'll be bored. So I assume everyone has already read this article, and I've lost my pointer. And I found it. Okay. So this is the article. What is this article telling us? Kim? So we are looking at the potato market. That is the key thing you need to identify in any assignment. What market are we talking about? So in this assignment, the first thing you have picked up is that you are looking at the potato market. That's what you need to do in your assignment. Read every question very carefully. This is a very simple assignment. Yours is not that simple. I've played around a bit in your assignment, and I have used different markets. So be very careful which market I am talking about. In this case, right now we are looking at the potato market. So what is happening in this market? You have read it, right? So what's happening in this market? There is a shortage of potatoes. Why there is a shortage of potatoes? Because of? Because of the flood. So what is the problem that you have identified in this? What is the problem that you have identified? So remember, the first step we need to do is read the question very carefully. Use supply and demand model. See how I've highlighted it. This is how you need to be highlighting your question. So you know exactly what you are looking at in every question. So what I have done here, use the supply and demand model. So that means you definitely need a model to describe ceteris paribus. What is ceteris paribus? Assuming all other factors remaining constant. So you are assuming all other factors remaining constant, a major factor contributing to the price of potatoes to rise in Australia. Yes? Now in your discussion, make sure to explain the process of moving to the new equilibrium, output and price. So the first thing I want you all to scribble in your notebooks is identify the problem. Read the question and identify the problem. So what is the problem? What is the problem? There is a shortage of potatoes in the market. Sorry. Now you are analyzing why there is a shortage. Why there is a shortage? So the question is, identify the factors contributing to the price of potatoes to rise. So you have identified that shortage is leading to, listen to me carefully here everyone, based upon the question you have identified that the shortage in potatoes have led to increase in prices. That's your problem, right? Yes? Now, how did you analyze this? What was the reason of this shortage and prices going up? What was the reason? Did anyone analyze that? Sorry? So the natural disaster, okay. Anyone else? There was a natural disaster. What did natural disaster do? Say that again. They can't plant more, okay. So then what happened? Due to the natural disaster, they can't plant more. Now what is happening? Now what is happening in the market? No, missing a step. What's happening now? So if they can't plant more, what's happening?
There isn't enough potatoes to meet demand.
There is not enough
Supply to meet demand.
Perfect. What's happening now? There is a decrease in supply. Yes, everyone? So what have you analyzed? You have analyzed that the bad weather, because of the bad weather, farmers could not plant more potatoes, and that's why there is a decrease in supply. Yes, everyone? Now what happened when there is a decrease in supply? Somebody gave me the answer actually. What happens now when there is a decrease in supply? No, there is a step in between. There is a shortage in the market. Look at my flow of my answer. Now the prices will go up. Is that clear, everyone? It is the shortage which is leading for the prices to go up. Yes, everyone? So this is your analysis. Your analysis is due to the wet weather or due to the bad weather conditions, farmers could not plant more potatoes, and that's why there is a decrease in supply. Decrease in supply created a shortage in the market that led to increase in price. You got your answer? Yes, everyone? Is that a complete answer? Should I give you full 8 marks? Should I give you full marks? What is missing? Model, absolutely right. Now you will draw the model. Now you will draw the model and then you will explain the model. Now when I am saying explaining the model, how do you explain a model? Always remember, whenever you start a story, you start your story from a very happy note. You are saying the market is in equilibrium, everything is going fine, no problems. Now suddenly the villain comes. The villain is bad weather, and because of him, supply shifts to the left, creating a shortage in the market at the existing price. This is how you will explain your graph. You will hold my hand and you will take me around your graph and I'll understand, oh, this is what is happening. And then you will write your outcome. And what is the outcome? What did I tell you? What is the outcome? Price and quantity. Is that clear, everyone? I have given you a page. Can I? Thank you. Everyone, flip it. Everyone sitting here, flip it. Write your name and your student ID. This is a non-gradable activity, and what I'm going to do is, I'll ask you all imagine that you're sitting in an exam environment and you are answering this question to me based upon these points. Using a graph and everything. You will write your answer here and I'll collect this paper from you all. And then I'll mark it, and as and when possible I'll distribute it back to you all so that you can see what you have written how you should have improved so that you can get full marks, and this is how you're not only preparing for your assignment, but you're also preparing for your exam. So you know exactly the format in which you will be presenting your answer to me. Okay, everyone? So, and remember, this is non-gradable, so I'm not going to give you any marks. I will only give you my comments, that this is how you can improvise on your answer. Is that clear? And it's not going to go to anyone, so I'll mark this. It's going to take me a week's time, and then you can come and collect it from my lecture theatre. Okay, everyone? So please write your name and your student ID so that I can return it back to you all. And think and assume you will get 10 minutes to write this answer in exam. You have this exam question and you are writing the answer. Please write it on that paper. Remember the format. We have just discussed the format. Identify, analyze, model, explain your model.
I started writing out, and the way I was doing it, I was explaining the economic concepts, and I was imagining I was saying it to somebody about layman's terms. I was using that.
No. It depends upon, I'll remove this. It depends upon the question. That is a key important thing. What is the question asking you? If it is about a very particular concept, for example, elasticity, you must define it. If it is about burden of tax, you must define it. But this particular question, it is about demand and supply. So if you want, you can begin your answer by explaining what is demand and supply.
Because how I did is I explained what it was, and then I connected it to case study, so I said.
So I need to see your answer
how
actually.
supply should,
Yeah, okay. Shouldn't be strong. Should be okay. I think I'll pause my recording for a minute so that those who are listening to me online, they are not bored by this activity. And even if they want, even they can do this. Everyone has written their answers. So you have identified the problem. So the problem is, due to the wet weather, there is a shortage in the market for potatoes, and that's leading to increase in price. That was your the problem was there's a shortage which is leading to increase in price. That was the problem that you identified. Your analysis was it is due to the bad weather, and some of you have linked that to what is being given in the assignment. So due to the bad weather, the farmers are planting less potatoes, and that's why there is a decrease in supply, which has created a shortage in the market, leading to an increase in price. And then you drew your model. So let's see. Compare your model with my model and tell me whether it's making any sense. Okay. Now, whenever you start your answer, the first thing you need to do is draw the market equilibrium position. Look at my labeling, please. I have labeled this is a potato market. Now, I am showing my downward sloping demand curve, upward sloping supply curve, and this is the equilibrium position. Price and quantity. Yes, everyone? Now what has happened? Now, because of the bad weather, there is less supply. So the supply curve has shifted to the left. So since this is a new curve, I'm giving it the label S1. Just see what change in my graph or what difference in my graph from yours will give my graph full marks. Look here, please, everyone, carefully. So this is showing me that at the existing price, quantity supply is here. But whereas quantity demanded is still here. Can you see this? Yes, everyone? So what we are seeing, at the existing price, quantity supply has decreased, whereas quantity demanded is still here. So this gap here, this gap is showing me that there is a shortage in the market. Now, how this shortage is eliminated? Forces of demand and supply. So what happens? Now, when there is a shortage in the market, price comes into action. Because of the shortage, consumers, they bid the price up. And this is the new equilibrium position at the new price. Is that clear, everyone? So if you look at this graph is clearly showing you where there is a shortage in the market. When I saw your graph, I clearly understood what you have shown me, and I was pretty impressed, I'll be honest with you. Most of you have very well labeled your graphs, very impressive. This is the ultimate graph. If you show me something like this, I won't be able to take away even a single mark from your graph. Because this graph is showing me the entire picture. It is showing me there was a decrease in supply, which means at the existing price, supply is less than demand. Remember, we need to identify when there is a shortage. Shortage is when somebody sitting at the back told me. Shortage is when supply is less than demand or demand is more than supply. In our case, supply is less than demand, which created a shortage in the market. And that's why the prices went up. Is that clear, everyone? Let's move on to question number 2. So let's move on to question number 2 now. Question number 2. Discuss whether you think the price elasticity of demand for potatoes to be elastic or inelastic. Based on your discussion of elasticity, illustrate and analyze the effect on total revenue. I should have highlighted this word total revenue also. So, discuss its effect on total revenue. How will you start this answer? How will you start this answer? This is a concept-based answer. The previous one was based on a model. This one is based on a concept. Which concept are we looking at here? Which concept are we focusing on? Elasticity. So how will you begin your answer? Bang on spot. Yes. You will start by defining what is elasticity. The previous question was based on a model. This one is based on a concept. So now you're explaining what your concept is, elasticity. So you're defining what is an elasticity. Now, all those who are listening to me here, sitting here and listening to me online, please don't give me any ways of measuring elasticity. I don't need that. I've not asked it in your assignment. Don't give me how to measure your assignment. Don't give me formula. Please don't. I don't want that. Don't waste your word count in giving me the formula of measuring elasticity. We don't need that. We just need the definition. Now what will you do? What is the next part? This is there in your assignment, right? What is the next part? What would be your step number 2 now? Can I have the paper? What would be the next step? Say that again. So you identify, thank you. You identify whether the potatoes are elastic or not. How do you identify that? That's absolutely right. How do you identify whether the potatoes are elastic or not? Yes. So the next thing is you are linking the determinants of elasticity of demand to a demand for potatoes. That's a next important step. Can I have the paper back? Thank you. So that's the next step that you're doing. This is where most of the students go wrong. They clearly write the demand for potatoes is elastic. Why? Why demand for potatoes is elastic? Or why is it inelastic? How will you identify that? And for that, you need to clearly write the determinants of price elasticity of demand. What are the determinants of price elasticity of demand? First one, availability of substitutes. Are there substitutes available for potatoes? Potatoes are potatoes, right? There are other vegetables available. There are other vegetables, so there are substitutes available. But we are not only looking at substitutes. We are looking at, is it luxury or a necessity? Actually, none. It's neither a luxury nor a necessity, right? What about the narrowness of definition? What about the narrowness of definition? Are we looking what kind of potato, or are we looking just potato in general? Just potato in general, right? And what else? Is it a large proportion of your income? Is it a large proportion of your income? It's not a large proportion of your income, right? So, overall, what do you think? What is the answer? Is it elastic or inelastic? What do you think? Potatoes are vegetables, right? There are always substitutes available. Now, when it comes to the question of elasticity, there is no a specific right or wrong answer. It all depends upon how you are presenting your discussion. If your discussion indicates that the demand is elastic, so you write it clearly that yes, the demand for potatoes is elastic because there are substitutes available. It's neither a necessity nor a luxury. It is not a large proportion of income. So that's why the demand becomes elastic. And if you think no, the demand is inelastic because for a potato chips maker, if somebody wants to make potato chips, they need potatoes. It is a necessity, right? So there are no other substitutes available. One option. Secondly, because it's not a large proportion of income, people don't care whether the prices are going up or down. So the demand is inelastic. So depending upon your argument, so you will be linking the demand for potatoes to these determinants, and you will be writing your conclusion that the demand for, based upon the given determinants, the demand for potatoes is elastic or inelastic. Is that clear? In your example, it's butter. Yes? But who is using butter? If I'm not mistaken, it is butter used by bakery. So based upon that, you will frame your answer. For the bakery, is butter elastic or inelastic?
When you're linking to the determinants of elasticity, is it okay if you list the determinants and then you explain them?
You can do that. You can list the determinants and explain them, but make sure you're linking them clearly to the product. There has to be a link. You just cannot write there are no substitutes available. It's not a necessity. So if you're writing it like this, then you're getting those kind of marks. But if you're linking it clearly to the story of butter,
Like you say luxury or necessity, and then you explain to say.
yeah, no problems. You can certainly do that. In fact, that gives a lot of clarity to your answer when you put it in the points like this. So you can certainly do that. But remember to write your conclusion. You must write that the demand for potatoes, or in your case butter, is elastic or inelastic. So now you have done the first part of it. Based on your discussion of elasticity, illustrate. Illustrate means, now again you have to show the graph. And analyze the effect on total revenue of the farms growing potatoes. So now you have to show the effect on total revenue. How will you write this part? This is an important bit. This is where you are meant to be scoring. The first part is, okay, this is where the scoring comes in. What will you do now? Anyone? What would be your next step? What are you trying to show me there? Why did I include this concept of total revenue? Something has to be there, right? Why am I talking about total revenue here? Anyone? Anyone? There is a strong link between total revenue and elasticity. Because we know that when demand is elastic, increase in price decreases total revenue. And when demand is inelastic, increase in price increases total revenue. So there's a very strong connection between elasticity and total revenue, and that's what you need to tell your reader by using a model, that there is a link between total revenue and elasticity. That's why we are looking at this relationship. So you explain the link, and then finally you explain your model and your outcome. So how will you draw your model? I'll just change this here. So if you are showing that the demand is elastic, now always remember, many times I've seen what students do is, I'll just show you in a minute. You can use any of this graph, or if you want, you can use both the graphs, showing your reader, depending upon your word limit of course, the difference between the two and which one is the right model according to you. So if you are saying that the demand for potatoes is elastic, right? So elastic means the demand curve is more horizontal. And then you have your supply curve. And this is your equilibrium price and quantity. Yes, everyone? Now what has happened in your market? In your market, the prices have gone up. The prices have gone up. One way is Listen to this carefully. One way is you're directly showing me that there is a rise in price, and this is what the market looks like. So from P1 and Q1, so what you can see here, that this is the price which is gained up, and these are the customers that they have lost. So this is the total revenue which is gained, and this is the total revenue which is loss. So clearly indicating when demand is elastic, it indicates when the prices go up, people substitute with other products. With other products available in the market. And that's why total revenue decreases. So this is how you will draw the graph and explain it. On the other hand, if you're showing the demand is inelastic, price, quantity, your inelastic demand curve is more vertical, right? And you're showing your supply curve, equilibrium quantity, and equilibrium price. So now you're showing that the prices have gone up in the market. When the prices went up, what happened? Demand is inelastic means it is not affecting buyers much. Buyers are not responding to the change in price. So what can we see here? There is not much decrease in the price. So this is the revenue which is lost, and this is the revenue which is gained. So as you can see here, gain is more than loss. So when demand is inelastic, increase in price, when there is an increase in price, consumers do not respond much to the change in price, and therefore it leads to an increase in total revenue. So you need to identify what is happening in your market. Is the demand elastic or is demand inelastic? So once you have identified, then you will be using the model. Now please remember, it's very important that you show the link between elasticity and total revenue. If you are giving me the answer, demand is inelastic, increase in price will increase total revenue, I'll give you half marks. But if you want full marks, I need an explanation like that, linking it clearly to the graph. Is that clear, everyone? So just stating the prices are going up and that's why the total revenue is going up or down is not the correct enough answer for me. Is that clear? Now one thing I want to tell you all is, many times I've experienced students writing, potatoes are elastic. Are potatoes elastic or inelastic? Can you stretch them? It is the demand for potatoes which is elastic or inelastic. Similarly, in your assignment, please don't write butter is elastic. No, butter is not elastic. Butter is not inelastic. It is the demand for butter which is elastic or inelastic. This is one of the most common mistakes students do in their assignments and in their exams. Is that clear, everyone? So please make sure that you don't write the demand for butter is, butter is elastic. Demand for butter is elastic. Is that clear? Let's take a quick 5 minutes break and then we will start again. We'll start with question number 3. So now, before we begin, move on to question number 3, which is again one of the most important questions here. Let me give you a tip or maybe a clue about how these tutors, they start marking. I'll tell you, each one of them, they get 20 minutes to mark your assignment and they have to go through everything, right? So that's the reason we want everything to be typed. Otherwise, normally what used to happen earlier was students used to write and they used to give it to us, and tutors were really fed up because they used to struggle with handwriting. You have seen how bad my handwriting is also, right? So when a tutor is marking, what is the first thing they see in your assignment? Can anyone tell me? What is the first thing they look in your assignment? When they mark your assignment? When the thing comes in their hand, what is the first thing they are looking at? Format, okay. Font, okay. Introduction, okay. Anyone else? Somebody said something very nice, I missed that. Presentation. Okay, anyone else? Word count, okay, I do that. That word count comes to me right in the end. Okay. Last chance? Contents? No. You know what they look at? Graph. Tutors, the minute they get your assignment, that's how they've been trained. When I got my training, that's how I got my training. The first thing you need to look at is the graph. Is this graph making any sense or not? If the graph is making sense, now the tutors are excited to read your assignment. Are you getting me? But if your graph is not making sense, if it's a crappy graph wherein they are struggling, what is the student trying to tell me here? They lose half the interest. And you know it, when people lose half the interest, what happens to, then they don't enjoy reading your work. So it's very important that your graphs should be very, very meaningful. That's why I keep on repeating a million times, please work on your graphs. It's very important, and that's why I said don't use Excel, please. We all hate marking Excel graphs because they just make no sense. We really struggle in understanding them. So don't use Excel for making your graphs. Hand draw them, no problem. And please don't do that shabby drawing, okay? Make sure your graphs are neat, clean, and understandable. So now once they have looked at your graph, what else do they look at? Now what do they look at? So they have seen your graph, they are happy, satisfied. Now what will they do? What is the next thing they are looking after? Now they start reading your answer. So the first answer, let me be very, very honest, they first read question number 1. Because from the question number 1, it is very, very clear to us whether your economic concepts are clear or not. So that's why they always begin by reading question number 1. Once they have read question number 1, now they move on to question number 3. Because question number 2, we all know that everyone gets it right. Question number 2 is not a big deal at all. Mostly, everyone gets 6 or 7 out of 8 in your question number 2. So question number 2, they don't look at. Now they move on to question number 3. And now for the question number 3, let's see what question number 3 is about. Assume that demand for potato chips is elastic. So it's been given to us that the demand for potato chips is elastic. And the government has imposed a tax on fast food industry. So now we are concentrating from the aspect of fast food industry. Are we looking from the potatoes perspective? Now we are looking from the fast food industry. So we are looking from their perspective and we are seeing, explain who will bear most of the burden of tax on fast food. So who will bear means, will it be the consumers or the producers, buyers or sellers, who are bearing the larger burden of tax? Again, illustrate your conclusion. I did not highlight the word conclusion, but this conclusion really, really matters. How you are presenting your conclusion. Use an appropriate economic model. Now there's a hint here. In your answer, make reference to the concept of consumer and producers surplus. Somebody was asking me about consumers and producers surplus, right? This is where you will be using it. Now, how will you start your answer? How will you start? So your first question was model based. Second one was concept based. Third one is policy based. How will you start your answer? Anyone? Yep. So you started with the concept of marginal cost and marginal benefit. Okay. Anyone else? Yep.
Would the incidence of tax effect on goods and services?
Incidence of tax and its effect on goods and services. Yep.
I would start explaining how the demand for potato chips is elastic and how that affects.
Okay. Okay. Now, I will not start that because I've already done it in my question number 1 and 2 about the demand for potatoes. I know. I'll follow you too. I'll follow you too, because when we talk about the tax, we know that tax creates inefficiency in the market. So when the tax creates inefficiency in the market, so it's important for us to identify that now we are not looking at demand and supply. We are looking at marginal cost and marginal benefit. Is that clear, everyone? So we will start our answer by linking the tax to the concept of elasticity. That why are we looking at elasticity and tax together? What's such a big deal about it? What is happening here with the tax and elasticity? So you will begin your answer by first mentioning that tax creates inefficiency in the market, and how the burden of tax is being shared depends upon the elasticity of the product. It depends upon whether the demand for a product is elastic or inelastic. So you have given a basic background indicating the link between elasticity and tax. So you are saying that tax creates inefficiency in the market. Now it's very important to write one line here. Please make a note. Everyone sitting here and who are listening to me online, it's very important to write that buyers pay the price after the tax and sellers receive the price before the tax. I want to see these two lines in your answer. That shows me that yes, you have understood the concept. Buyers always pay the price after the tax and sellers always receive the price before the tax. So you have linked the taxes to the concept of elasticity, and now you will draw your model. So let's draw the model quickly. So what kind of a model are we drawing here? So we are clearly showing, let me change the document camera. Okay, so look at the model that we are drawing here. Price, quantity, and this is a potato chips market showing the relationship between tax and elasticity. Right? Now what is my question saying? The demand for fast food industry is elastic. So that means this is how my demand curve is going to look like. Yes, everyone? And I have my normal supply curve, equilibrium price, and quantity. Please pay focus on this graph. You can draw it later. But how I'm drawing this graph, that is more important. So please pay focus on this. So now what has happened? There is a tax which is being imposed. So another thing you need to write in this graph is, as rightly said by one of the students, this is a very important part. Clear? How will you show the conclusion otherwise? You just mentioned that tax leads to inefficiency, right? So if the tax is leading to inefficiency, we need to show marginal benefit and marginal cost. Right? So now you are showing in your graph that because of tax, supply decreases. Right? So we have a new supply curve. And that is supply plus tax. Yes, everyone? Now because of that, prices have gone up, and that's why there is a decrease in quantity, Q1, and this is the new price. Now focus here. What did I say a minute back? Buyers pay the price which is after tax. So this is the price which includes tax. So this is the price which is being paid by the buyers. And sellers receive the price which is before the tax. So this is the price what sellers receive. This is the price which is being received by the sellers. Yes, everyone? And this entire box, this is the tax which is gone to the government, right? Now the question is how the burden of tax is being shared. So what we can see here, since demand is elastic, consumers are easily substituting it with the other product, and that's why this is the burden of this is the burden of tax which is being paid by the consumers. And this large portion, this is the burden of tax which is being paid by the sellers. Right? So we can clearly show from the graph that the sellers, they pay a larger burden of tax. Now, the another important part, what is happening in this graph? We have this triangle which is total waste. So it is your dead weight loss. Is that clear, everyone? Is this graph complete? Is this complete? Is my explanation complete? My explanation is when demand is elastic, increase in price indicates consumers can easily substitute to the other product, and that's why sellers bear a larger burden of tax. Is that all? Is that all? So why are we discussing this concept? Is that your outcome? Is that your final conclusion of this answer? No. The final conclusion of this answer is, which is the most, for that I have created a separate slide in itself. You have explained the model and you're discussing your conclusion. What are you writing in your conclusion? You are writing, you are discussing the effect of tax on efficiency. What's happening with the efficiency? Are we achieving efficiency or no? We are not achieving efficiency. When a tax is imposed, marginal benefit is not equal to the marginal cost, so there is an inefficiency attained in the market. What's happening to the consumer surplus? Because of the tax, consumer surplus is shrinking. Similarly, producer surplus is also shrinking, and you're talking about the dead weight loss. So this is how you will show it in your graph. Your graph is here. So what are you showing here? This is now the consumer surplus. Originally it was this big. Look carefully here. But now this is the consumer surplus left. So the consumer's surplus has shrunk because of this tax. Similarly, producer's surplus was this big. Can you see this? It was such a big producer surplus. Now where it is only this much. Even producer's surplus has shrunk, and there is a dead weight loss created in the market, and that's why it is an inefficient outcome. Is that clear, everyone? So these are the 3 questions you will be answering. Now somebody asked me, okay, we have answered the 3 questions very clearly. Now what? How should I write my introduction and conclusion? Always begin your assignment by writing the 3 questions. Once you have answered 3 questions, now write your introduction. What the hell has happened here? Something is wrong. It's not working, right? I don't know why this is not working. Let's wait for a second. It's working. Excellent. So now, once you have written all your 3 questions, now you will start writing your introduction. How do I write my introduction? That's what you asked me, right? What should I write in my introduction? Can anyone tell me what should you write in your introduction? Sorry? What should you write in your introduction? Anyone? What would you write in your introduction? The topics that you would be discussing, absolutely. What would you be writing in your discussion, in your introduction? Yeah. Sorry? Not sure, okay. What are you writing in your introduction?
Something general. Something general.
Okay, something in general. I will summarize all my questions. This is how you write your introduction, that this assignment is discussing that there is a shortage in the market of potatoes because of the bad weather, and since the demand for potatoes is elastic, we will be looking at its effect on total revenue and how the tax affects the efficiency in the market. So this is the kind of introduction you are giving. So you are basically just summarizing, or in other words, paraphrasing the three questions what I have given you. You'll be just paraphrasing that and putting that in your introduction. So always remember, introduction is nothing but the questions that you are trying to answer in this assignment. Then what is the conclusion? What is the conclusion? The outcome. Absolutely right. A conclusion is nothing but summarizing all the answers. So you're saying that the shortage is due to the bad weather, or the shortage is due to decrease in supply, and since demand is elastic, increase in price will decrease total revenue, and because the demand is elastic, again the burden of tax will be more on the sellers as compared to buyers, leading to an inefficient market outcome. Is that clear, everyone? So your introduction is always summarizing all the questions, and conclusion is always summarizing all the answers. So this is what your assignment is all about. Questions, please. Now it's your turn to ask me questions. I have asked you all enough. Any question related with assignment, you are more than welcome to ask me. Anyone? This is the golden opportunity, because you will be seeing me straight after the assignment is being uploaded on the Moodle. Yes?
Can your graphs be more than 3?
Your graphs can be more than 3. It's totally up to you how you want to show it. Anyone? Let me give you one tip here. Yeah.
Sorry. So in the questions that you had earlier, question 2 asked whether it was inelastic or elastic, and then question 3 said it was elastic.
Assuming.
So we don't have to change
Nope.
that?
Don't.
Okay.
Don't. Don't relate your answer to question number 3. Please use your own determinants. Yes.
Would you write that in the introduction, that it says in question 2 whether you think it's elastic or inelastic. So in the introduction, would you write that it's elastic? Would you give the answer?
Yeah, sure, why not? Yep, you can write that. That's not an issue. You can. Now, question number 1 in your assignment. Question number 1 in your assignment. How many of you have looked at question number 1? Almost everyone, right? What is happening in question number 1? What's happening in I'm not giving away the answer, but I want to know what's happening in question number 1. Yours is a bit tricky one. What's happening in there? What is the article saying? It's about butter, right? And there's a shortage of butter. Why there's a shortage of butter? That's what I'm trying to ask you. Why there is a shortage of butter? They have given the reasons, right? What are the reasons? Anyone remembers? Why there is a shortage? Yep. Okay, so there is not enough animal feed. I want to know from the economic perspective. From the economic perspective, what do you think? What's happening? Anyone? Okay. Supply is decreasing and demand is increasing. I think somebody has already given away the answer. Look carefully in your assignment and see what is the right way of presenting this situation. I have got few emails, student asking me, should we draw 2 separate graphs? Should we put them all together in one? You need to decide that. In which way your answer is going to look more effective. You have done all the concepts, right? That's why if you notice, I've written it up there. Link it to your lecture and your textbook. Link it to your lecture and textbook. And read your assignment very carefully. This is where the catch is in your assignment. Should you be drawing 2 separate graphs or should you be combining them? So I leave that on to you all. And I would like to see how you're going to make your answer very, very effective using what kind of a graph. Anyone, any questions? Okay, I'll see you all next week and enjoy your long Easter weekend and relax and please complete your assignment.